Hi everybody, happy Wednesday. I am here and I hope that you are too. Got a couple of minutes till noon and then we'll get started with doing some yoga. If you have a block today, we're going to use a block. Um, I don't have anything planned with a strap, but if you have one and you use it sometimes making adjustments or assists on your own with the strap, then grab your strap and join me on the mat in a couple of minutes. All right, everybody, it is right at noon today, Wednesday, June, I don't know, 17th, and thank you for joining me for Wellness Wednesday, a collaboration between the UCCS Wellness Center and the UCCS Gallery of Contemporary Arts. Normally, before COVID, we held this at the gallery, which was a great pleasure, and sometimes when the gallery was closed or not set up quite right for yoga, we were able to practice throughout the Ent Center, which is an amazing building on UCCS campus, and we were able to practice on stages and in a teaching room where wonderful events are held, and we were able to practice outside on the lawn in the sculpture gallery, which if you saw the little advertising post I put up earlier, that's where we were. And the gallery, the whole Ent Center is going to remain closed through December 2020. And I don't really know what's going to happen after that. So I'm thinking that we're going to be meeting in this format for a while now. I like doing this, and I would love to get your feedback on what works for you and what doesn't work for you, especially if we're going to stay doing video for, looking like the next 6 months, foreseeable future, right? So, all right, I'm actually going to make my video a little bit bigger here. Somehow it went smaller. And, okay, there we go. It looks like I'm live. I hope some of you guys are here. And my thought for practice today was that given so much craziness and uncertainty and ever-changing things, which I feel like I say every single week, and it remains true every single week, maybe we would maybe we would stick to the basics. And so I invite you to get what you want out of this practice. I remember at one point in my practice, I had gotten to what worked for my body to be a very advanced practice. not super twisty bendy, but lots of advanced strength postures and things like that, and trying to not make it complicated. But I went to a class taught by a very well-known and accomplished instructor, and I was struck by how basic the class was, and yet how challenging it was at the same time. And so I invite and encourage you, and it could have been a very simple class. It was a very simple class, and the practice could have been very straightforward and modified to take the energy down quite a bit. So that's what I encourage you guys to do this practice, right, is to make it what you need. So there's a lot of room for high energy, and there's a lot of room for taking the energy level down if that's what's more appropriate for you. And without further ado, let's start in child's pose. So bring your knees wide or have your knees together, but whichever you choose, allow your forehead to rest on the mat. If your knees are together, maybe you want to have your arms alongside your body, palms facing up. And if your knees are wide or together, maybe you want to stretch your arms out. But let your head rest. Let your brain drop. And let your breath be deep and full. Maybe even full enough that you can feel your breath expanding your back, your rib cage coming up into your neck. And as you exhale, allowing it to go, allowing anything possible to go. And if you can't let things go, just acknowledge that they're there and work with what's showing up for you rather than fighting it. And let your breath be the mainstay of this practice so that as we put our bodies into a variety of shapes, we will stay in touch with an ability to continue to breathe deeply and steadily. And let that be the gauge, perhaps, of how well you push, how far you push yourself, right? So it doesn't mean your breath wouldn't speed up, but that your breath wouldn't be catching or non-existent. And from child's pose, push up onto your hands and knees and start to move through a couple of cat-cows. Inhaling, dropping your stomach, lifting your gaze and your tailbone, and exhaling, rounding, reversing that, and making any other movements that feel good to you. Perhaps rocking back and forth, maybe moving your hips around a little bit, really getting juicy in your shoulder blades and your spine, starting to warm things up in your body. Noticing anywhere that's like, ooh, yeah, I feel something over there. And then notice places where you don't, where perhaps the energy is flowing more freely. And just be aware, again, that that's where your body is this afternoon. And there you go, that's what you've got. And then come on back to a neutral spine. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. So if you need to walk your feet back a little bit to widen your dog, do so. Maybe you walk your fingers forward a little bit. Maybe bring your ears in between your biceps and allow the weight of your head to give your spine some traction here. Maybe push through the backs of your knees, push away through the backs of your knees and lift up from underneath your navel, lift your hips up. So you're kind of actively pushing into your hands as you lift up, and then touch base with your heels and let your heels sink. All this is happening at the same time. And then find some stillness. Let the breath be what's moving your body. Let your jaw relax. your face relax. And then look in between your hands. Or maybe don't. Maybe even just take a bunch of baby steps. And as you walk up to the top of your mat, let your heels come down. So really opening up your calves as you walk to the top of your mat and hang and ragdoll. Knees are soft. Maybe you want to bend your elbows and tuck your hands in the crook of opposite elbow or grab onto opposite elbow. Maybe you want to sway back and forth a little bit. Breathe. Find gratitude for this space, this time on your mat. And if you're thinking something very different than gratitude that you have the opportunity to change your thoughts. Whatever it is you were being mean to, how about thank you, hamstrings, for doing all the stuff I asked you to do. And then firm up your stomach here and roll up. Come to standing. Head is last, head is heavy. When you get to standing, roll your shoulders up and back and down. Maybe do that a couple of times just because it feels good. Keep breathing. Maybe you can incorporate some breath here too, so as your shoulders come up and back, you are inhale, or maybe the opposite, whatever. Just notice some breath. And then come to stillness. Make a choice. Feet separate or together. Inhale your arms up. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. Pull up and then over. Push your left hip out as you pull to the right. Notice if your chest is looking down, right? And if it is, okay, maybe notice that. And perhaps you want to open up your heart toward the sky. Inhale back up. You probably have a few breaths there. Switch sides. Grab your right wrist with your left hand and come on over. Breathe, pushing your right hip out as you pull your right hand over with your left. Same thing, trying to maybe become aware of opening up your heart and how that might shift your position. Come on back up to center. Separate your arms and squeeze your shoulder blades together as you bend your elbows and open up your heart. And then lift your arms back up and fold either hands through heart center or swan dive. Halfway lift, lengthen, inhale. And then fold. Put your hands down and step back, high plank. Always knees can be on the floor in high plank or knees are off the floor. And then we're going to lower. But before we do, turn your arms so that the crease in your elbows is facing forward. And then shift forward, facing the top of your mat, right? Kind of doing your best to line up that elbow crease with the top of your mat. Shift forward on your toes, and then keeping that orientation of your arms lower, half or all the way. So you're going to be hugging your ribs with your elbows. And then come on up, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, roll over your toes. Come on into downward facing dog and take a few breaths. Make your way to the top of your space. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, come on back down, fold, fold. Sweep your arms up, rise. Bring your hands together overhead. Put your palms together and bring that prayer into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Forward fold. Halfway, lengthen. Step back, opposite foot. If you remember which one you used last time, come to high plank. Maybe do that thing with your elbows again, lower, halfway or all the way. Chaturanga or laying on the floor. Heart pulls forward, shoulders come back, up dog or cobra. Lift your hips, push into your hands, downward facing dog. Breath in. Breath in. Make your way to the top of your space. Breathe in and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Sweep your arms up, rise with a flat back. Hands to prayer. Prayer to the heart. And then from your heart, arms up again. One more sun A, dive. Lift. Plank. Lower. Shoulders back. Lead with your heart. Downward facing dog. Roll the weight into your thumb and your pointer finger, especially the knuckles underneath those fingers, right? So that pad there. Notice how that might shift the way your wrists feel in this posture. Maybe bend your knees quite a bit and send your hips even higher. So you're pushing into your hands and trying to lengthen your butt back behind you. And then if you can, with that length and engagement, straighten-ish your knees. Look in between your hands. If that works for you, step to the top of your mat or space, wherever you're practicing. Halfway lift, flat back, including your neck, which means looking down. Forward fold. Take that length down with you. Sweep your arms up, and with a flat back and engaged stomach, rise. Hands together overhead. And pull your hands into your heart. Sweep your arms up. Let's move into sun B, chair pose, Utkatasana. So your stomach is engaged in this posture. Maybe you're comfortable to have your biceps by your ears. If that's not comfortable for you, then bring your hands in front of your heart, perhaps straight out in front of you. Maybe you bring your hands into heart center. Halfway lift, lengthen. Take it back, high plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up, bend your left. Lift your right leg up, let your left heel continue to sink down. Bend your right knee if you want. Roll your ankle. Make circles. Let it feel good. And then bring your right foot through for a low lunge. Spin your back foot flat. Try to get it at a 45-degree angle. You can make adjustments if you need to. And then rise up. Warrior one. Push into the pinky edge of your back foot to get your left hip point facing more toward the front of your mat, which doesn't mean your hip point should be directly going forward, but you want to try to get it more that way. And if that hurts your low back a lot, you can always come into crescent, okay, and tuck your pelvis with your back knee bent. Warrior one is the posture I'm going to cue today. And then pay attention to where you are here, all right? Your right knee is bent. Your right hip point is facing forward. You're trying to get that left hip point going forward as well. And then as we move into Warrior two, keep your right knee tracking out. But think about your left hip point opening as you bring your left arm back, your right arm forward. Warrior two, maybe gazing over your right fingertips. You've got a death grip with your right toes. Let that go. How's your breathing? You want to bend your right knee more, which was probably a little more challenging for most of us. You want to straighten your right knee a little bit. Take some of the pressure off. Only you can make that decision for yourself. Reach, 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 extended side angle. Bring your right forearm to your inner right thigh. Maybe you rest it on your right thigh and lift your left arm up. If you have the flexibility, maybe you want to have your hand on the ground. If you want to use your right forearm or elbow, wherever part of your arm is, to roll your right rib cage down and your left rib cage up so that you're opening your heart. Maybe you want to bring your left bicep by your left ear and reach from the edge of your left foot all the way through your left fingertips, just getting a beautiful stretch. And then keep your right knee bent. Take reverse warrior. Your right knee is continuing to point forward and track towards your pinky toe, but now if you're with me, you're reaching your right arm up and back. So thinking about from your hip crease here, down is rooting down. The energy is going down to the earth, but then from your waist up, that same point really up, your energy is going up. Reach, inhale. Kneel your hands down to the mat. And step back, high plank. Chaturanga. Up, dog, or cobra. Downward facing dog. Breathe. Lift your left leg up, bend your knee, open up your hip. Same thing. Let your right heel continue to sink, and if you feel good to make circles, please go ahead and do that. And then bring your left leg back up. Bring it through for a little lunge. Get your heel and your knee lined up so that your joints are protected. Spin your back foot flat, 45-degree angle as best as you can, and rise up to warrior one. If you chose crescent, maybe you're going to do that again on this side. You want to push into your left foot to get your left hip point forward. And notice that forward orientation of your hips so that your left hip and your right hip point, those bones that you can find, they jut out on some people, are pointing forward. Or that's the intention. And then from here, again, thinking about keeping your left knee going out to the left, but opening your right hip point, move into warrior two. So moving from a closed hip to an open hip position. Breathe. Please. Please breathe. Again, how deeply do you want to bend in your left knee? How much engagement feels good for you right now? And then let's move into extended side angle. Reach forward and then bring your left arm wherever you like it on your left leg and reach your right arm up. So start with reaching your right arm straight up, using the leverage of your bottom hand. Roll your heart open, maybe even allowing, if it feels good, your right arm to swing back, open up your chest a little bit. And then perhaps you want to bring your right bicep over your right ear and stretch from the edge of your right foot all the way through your right fingertips. Reverse your warrior. Keep your left knee bent. Maybe reconnect with the bend. And bring your left arm back and behind you. Right arm going down your right leg, or maybe sliding behind your back. Breathe in here. Reach. Windmill down. I was going to say reverse. High plank to chaturanga or the ground. Upward facing dog. Heart pulls through. Shoulders back. And downward dog. Breathe, please. Please breathe. And if you want to drop your knees here and take the child's pose, shift the energy to something a lot chiller, go ahead. You be the guide of your own practice. But if you want to listen to my suggestions and follow them, then make your way to the top of your space. Step, hop, jump, halfway lift. Fold. Bend your knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. And then stand up. Bring your hands together and pull your energy into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Chair. You do it faster. Fold, fold. Halfway lift. High plank to low. Upward facing dog. And then you make your way to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Come through low lunge. Back foot flat. Warrior one. Warrior two. Extended side angle. Reach. Spin your heart open. Reverse your warrior. Inhale as you come back. And then exhale your way down. All the way through chaturanga if you can. And then you inhale on your up dog. And then you exhale on your down dog. And then you take a breath in and out. Lift your left leg. Low lunge. Back foot flat. Virabhadrasana 1. Virabhadrasana 2. Extended side angle. Let it feel good. Reverse your warrior. Inhale, breathe. High plank. Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And breathe. Hold downward facing dog and take a couple of breaths here. Look in between your hands and make your way to the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, Utkatasana chair. Stand up and bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, your arms up. Chair. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Put your hands down and step back. High plank. Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Bend your knee and bring it through for a low lunge. This time drop your back knee. Rise up to crescent knee. You can choose to keep your back knee up and be in crescent. I'm going to coach you guys to do this one today. Just take it down a little bit if that's stress on your back knee. And just fold your mat over and stick your knee on that. And then from here, bring your hands to your heart and twist. Bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Breathe. Notice where your heart is. Is it facing the floor? And if you can, try to get your heart facing your side wall. Or if you're outside, whatever's on that side of you. And I said try, I didn't say you absolutely can, right? And then release this. Come into runner's lunge. Bring your hands to the inside of your right foot. Toe heel, your right foot to the top right corner, toward the top right corner of your mat. And allow your elbows to bend if possible. You can take your block and put your elbows on the block, your forearms on the block. Some people can put their forearms on the ground or lay all the way down. Whatever works for your body today. And return to the breath. Noticing where this posture is showing up for you in your body, in what part of your body, in your mind, in what part of your mind. What is it triggering for you, if anything? Maybe you're relaxed and comfortable. Just be aware, right? There's not a right answer. There's just increased awareness, and then what you do with that increased awareness. We're going to move from here into side plank. Your left knee is on the ground, so you can simply bring your right foot back behind you, straighten your right leg, and roll over, bringing your right hand to the sky. And if you want to do a different version of this posture, which is a little bit of a more energetic version, well, from here, you could always Actually keep your bottom knee on the ground. Lift your right leg up. And then bend your right knee and grab your right foot with your right hand. And let's do a version of dancer here. So we're in a modified side plank and continuing to open through the hip flexor, the shoulder, kick into your foot, breathe. Then release your right foot, bring your right hand up to the sky. Bring your right hand down, bring your right knee down. You're in a cat-cow position, so let's do a cat-cow or two, just kind of reset the spine here. And then maybe walk your hands forward a little bit, tuck your toes, lift your knees, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Bend your knee, bring it through, low lunge, line your left heel and knee up, and then drop your right knee and come on into crescent moon. Sinking into your right hip flexor. So you're sinking into your knee, but you're opening up through your right hip flexor. And then lift your arms up if they haven't been lifted already. Bring your hands into your heart and twist. Right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Breathe. Try. Again, try. Doesn't mean you can do it, but everybody can try. Spin so that your heart is facing, this time, whatever's on the left side of you. Whenever you want, release into a runner's lunge. Bring your hands to the inside of your left foot. Toe heel, your left foot toward the top edge of your mat. And sink down. And feel the feels. Breathe your breath. Notice where any tension might have accumulated, perhaps in your face, in your jaw. Maybe you're noticing, and that you can let go, right? Wiggle your face, that looks funny. Maybe you're noticing tension in your jaw, or in your wrists if you're on them, or whatever. So perhaps that is harder to release, but maybe you can work with it, as I always say, right? You can maybe back off, change your position of your elbows, you might come down more, whatever it is, whatever works. Another breath or so here. Keep juicing. And then come up to your hands if you're not there already. If your right knee isn't dropped, please drop it. And come back to this modified side plank. So bring your left foot back behind you. Left hand and left knee are on the, or sorry, that's right. Right hand and knee are on the ground. Right foot, right hand, right knee are on the ground. Your left foot's reaching back and your left hand is reaching up. I don't know why that felt so complicated. And then lift your left leg up. And if you want, and you're not going to hit furniture, reach and grab your left foot. And then open up, open your heart. Open the front of your left leg. Open your left shoulder. Open your eyes, even if you want to have them closed right now. Open your eyes. Open your mind. Open to new possibilities. Release leg and arm. Come back up for a moment. And bring it all down. Hands and knees position. Take a cat-cow again on this side, or wiggle around as you feel would work best in your body. And then walk your hands forward a little bit, tuck your toes, lift your knees up, downward facing dog. Home base, down dog. How's it feeling right now? Push into your hands, send your hips even further back, and then make your way to the top of your space. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold down, bend your knees, and rise up, Utkatasana, chair pose. And from chair here, we're going to do a balancing posture. Bring your right ankle to the top of your left knee. And if you want, you can bring your hands to your heart. Figure four position here. If, like me, you may be having trouble balancing, maybe you use your block. And put your hands on your block, right? A teacher of mine once said that how well you're able to balance is a sign of how balanced your life is. And if that's true, then probably a lot of us are struggling with balance right now. So instead of making ourselves feel bad about that, how about supporting ourselves through a time where we might need a little support? You don't always have to look for it from others. Sometimes you can give it to yourself by being kinder to yourself. Use a yoga block. It's not the end of the world, you know? And then release. Stand up, shake it out, move your hips around if you need to, and then other side. Lift your arms to the sky. Utkatasana, chair. Left ankle on top of right knee. So this is a hip opening posture. Use the energy of your inner thigh to allow your knee to drop toward the floor. Use the energy of your core to keep you supported in this posture, along with your block if you're using one. If you're not using a block, you can have your forearms on your shin. You might even hold on to the standing calf. Please breathe. Please release the story, let go of the story you're telling yourself about why this side is showing up differently. And then release the posture, move your block away. If you had it, inhale your arms up, chair. Bring your hands to your heart and twist again. Bring your left elbow outside of your right knee. And same thing, maybe you, a lot of people in this posture, your left knee is going to be jutting forward, so bring it back to even it out with your right knee. And just notice, just let's rest there. Notice how that impacts your posture. And then release, take gorilla or big toe grab. So separate your feet hip width distance and slide your hands, palms up underneath your feet. I'm going to turn sideways here. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And I'm turning sideways to show you guys that my knees are bent a lot so that I can get my toes all the way to my wrist crease. Release your head. Get the wrinkles out of the back of your neck. Maybe it's called gorilla because we can work on pulling our elbows out to the side. If that works for you. You can work on straightening your legs if that works for you. There's a lot of different ways to approach this posture. Breathe. Just holding it for a few breaths. Letting your body soften into the posture rather than forcing your body, right? When you force your body into a posture, when you try to force yourself to go deeper, your body actually creates a stress response and reacts to that, resists it. So you got to find the softness, you got to find the relaxation. It allows your body to trust and go further. Release. Bring your big toes back to touch. Rise back up to chair. And you can stand all the way up like I did. If you're even looking at me, which the goal is to not be looking at me, but be in your own practice. Bend your knees, chair, hands to your heart, twist to the opposite side, right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Pull your right knee back to meet your left knee. And just allow that to be the action, lining up your right and your left knees and feeling how that shows up in your sacrum, in your low back there. Perhaps the exhales help you deepen the twist. Perhaps the inhales help you lengthen your crown, your head further away from your butt. And then release. I'm going to give you guys two options here. Separate your feet a bit, and option one is, well, we'll do both. Option one is come into yogic squat. So separate your feet, but try to keep your heels on the ground, bend your knees, and sink your butt as low as you can go. So if you're looking at me, and my butt doesn't go very low in this posture, that's because of my, I don't know what, my bone structure, my hips, the tightness of certain muscles, I'm not really sure. But if you can sink your butt down lower, then go right ahead and do that. That would be perfect for you. If you want to stay here, stay here. The next option is to come into an arm balance called crow. So in crow, you would bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Bring your knees to the outside of your triceps. I like to scrunch way up to get my knees as high as I can. And then, weights on your hands. Lift your hips up, keeping your knees cemented there. Look up so that your weight of your head isn't pulling you down. And then you lift maybe one foot and then the other. And take a few breaths wherever you are. Even if you kept previous pose. Experimenting with this, you may be falling all over the place. If you're falling all over the place, laugh at yourself. And then wherever you are, release, come on down, and just come to standing. And roll your neck around, whatever feels good to you. We're going to come into a couple of balancing postures. Let's start with dancer. We did a version of this in our modified plank. Bring your feet together and inhale your arms up. Let your right elbow come to your right rib cage, and then so your right thumb is facing up, right? Just drop your hand down so that now your right thumb is facing back. Don't turn your wrist. Lift your right foot up and grab onto it from the inside. If, like me, you got to bring your knee wide to get that hand grasping, bring your knee back together, and then begin to kick your knee back and reach your arm out forward. So if you are looking at me, you would notice that I'm holding onto my furniture because that's what I feel like doing today. Or you might be reaching around on it, which is a lot more of the traditional posture. I'm noticing that my furniture's kind of dusty. And when you're ready, release, and we'll switch sides. Inhale your arms up. Bring your left elbow to the outside of your left rib cage. And again, just drop your hand down without flipping it. So your thumb is pointing back. Reach your left knee up. Reach your left foot up, grab your left foot from the inside, so the big toe side. So you can kind of poke your thumb and poke your big toe with your thumb, and then begin to kick and reach. Or grab onto your furniture. You want to be trying to drive your knee straight back, not out. And letting your shoulder that's holding the leg, your back shoulder, open up. Maybe your right arm is reaching forward as counterbalance actively. And then whenever you want, release it. It can be pretty, it can be awkward. You do what you need to do. Take a few breaths. I always say take a few breaths, and then I pretty immediately move on. So I don't really give you time for that. Lift your arms up, come to chair pose, and let's do eagle. Bring your right arm underneath your left, elbows stack, and then clasp opposite hands. Bring your right knee over your left. Right arm under, right leg over. Experiment, if you want, with your arm position. So perhaps you lift up your elbows and move your hands away from your face. Or if you always do that, maybe you do something that's more Bikram style and try to bring your thumbs, I forget what they say, below your chin, something like that. Maybe your right toes are on the floor. Maybe your right foot is next to your left shin. Maybe your right foot's behind your left calf. And that's my phone. I will ignore it. Release and lift up your hands and sink in chair. Eagle other side. Left arm under, left leg up and over. And again, what do you want to do with your elbows? What do you want to do with your foot? My screen suddenly went black. Hopefully you guys can see me. Let's see what it says. And then release. Lift your arms up. Bring your hands overhead. Bring your palms together. Bring your hands into your heart. So we're pretty well into spring, moving towards summer. Let's take a tree. Put your weight in your left foot. And make a choice. Do you want to have your, you know where to go with the tree. So make a choice and move into tree. And maybe like the trees are these days, you grow your branches and blossom. Maybe the way your energy is, not all my flowers have budded. Some of them are still, or they haven't all bloomed. Some of them are still working on budding. So maybe you need your energy a little bit more contained. Maybe you're not ready yet to send that out. Honor that. Honor where you are. Even if you don't like it. What if you just accept it? How might that change things for you? Release and switch sides. Tree, left side. So your left leg lifts up, your right foot is where you ground. And notice if you sink into your right hip a little bit. Stand up, engage pretty much a lot of stuff here. And then if you want to grow your branches, grow your branches. Breathe. Hopefully you can see me, but even if you can't see me, you can still hear my words and practice. And if you can't see me, then even bonus, because I'm not in tree anymore. All right, release tree. And come to the top of your space. Let me check my time here. Okay, good. Come to the top of your space and inhale your arms up. Exhale, fold, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, step back, high plank. Lower chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. This is where we're going to use our blocks. Lift your right leg up, bend your knee, bring it through, low lunge. Grab your block if you've got it, spin your back foot flat. Rise, warrior one. And quickly open, I'm not quickly, but without wasting time, warrior two. Straighten your right knee. And come into triangle. So reach your right fingertips forward as you lengthen the right side of your waist. That's the underside. And then bring your hand down inside or outside your right foot. And if you want, have your hand on the block. Maybe experiment with putting your block on the outside of your right leg and leaning into it a little bit to find some more freedom in your upper body, letting your left arm open up so that you're not in that same, a lot of times this posture is taught as if your body's in between two panes of glass, which would be your arm going straight up. So this time you're trying to let your arm open up, if that works for you, right? And then turn your torso down. Maybe scoot your back foot in a little bit. And we're going to move into twisting triangle. So leave the block on the outside of your right foot. And come to a flat back. Place your, actually come to standing. I like teaching it this way. Come to standing and place your hands on your hips. Both hands on your hips. And it's steering wheel your right hip back a little bit. And then lift your left arm up. Keeping your right hip moving back. Come to a flat back. And then keeping that flat back, let your hand come down. Maybe your hand comes down right underneath your left shoulder. Maybe it comes to your right shin, or maybe it comes to your block. Feel free, of course, to move the block. And if that works for you, you might lift your right arm, and you might look up. Twisting triangle. Forward fold, pyramid pose. You're in a forward fold over your right leg. So you want to try to keep your right leg straight. But you're actually, if that's super difficult, going to get a better stretch in your hamstring if you bend your knee a little bit. You'll know if that's what your body needs. And then one up to standing. You can roll up if you want. And widen your stance again. Come to warrior two. Helicopter your hands down. And step back. High plank. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up and make it step through. Make your foot step through. Come to warrior one. Put your block on the outside of your left foot this time. Come to warrior two. Straighten your left knee. Reach, 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 and triangle. And maybe, again, you want to have the block on the outside of your left shin this time and play around with that. But also keep the foundations of the pose. So you're trying to create length on both sides of your body. Or maybe you're opening up your right shoulder this time, allowing your right arm to fall back. Breathe. Wherever you are, the breath, again, the breath. Please breathe. And rise up to standing. Turn both feet to face the front of your mat. Scoot your right foot in a little bit. Hands on your hips. Square your hip points to the front here. Lift your right arm up. Keep your left hip coming back. Come to a flat back, and then your right hand comes down either directly under your right shoulder, left shin, or on the block on the outside of your left foot. And if you have your block, wherever your hand is, wherever your right hand is what I mean to say. If you want, you lift your left arm up. And if you want, you look up. If you want, if you can. And try to not worry about what it looks like. Just feel what it feels like in your body. And allow, notice how your breath, it's harder to breathe here. You're twisted and you're active. You can still breathe. You can still focus on, am I breathing? Release pyramid, fold over your left foot. Again, if you need to bend your left knee a little bit to actually release your hamstring, then go ahead and do that. And from here, just put your hands down, and in whatever way you need to do it, step back into downward facing dog. Tune into this down dog. How does this down dog compare to the ones you've been doing previously? And then bring your right knee behind your right wrist and make your way to pigeon. So scoot your left knee back a little bit. Let your head come to rest on the mat and breathe. you have trouble resting your head on the mat here, then you've got the block, or if you don't have the block, you certainly got your hands. Release your jaw. Notice what's coming up for you. There's a lot of things coming up for a lot of people these days. This morning I was out walking my dog who got into mud, and I didn't wash him off as well as I should have, and well, as I meant to. And God, he made a big mess in my house, and that's annoying. But there's also, right, when I was walking him, there was a considerable amount of smoke. And people were saying it was from a fire in Durango. I don't know if that's true. It seemed awfully smoky for the fire to be that far away, but just notice what's showing up for you. Maybe it's work issues, having a job, not having a job, family issues, world issues. Breathe. Whatever's showing up for you, your breath is its friend. And then let's just make our way to the other side. So however you want to get into pigeon, with your left knee forward, you can come back to down dog, or just swing your legs around, left knee forward. Scoot your right knee back and sink down at your headrest. So again, right, you want to allow your body to relax rather than activate a reaction. Well, you do want a reaction. What do I mean? Like a negative, that resistance. That's what I was looking for. We practice yoga to tune in, to learn about ourselves, to know when we are our best selves and figure out how to work with that. And come on up, sit over on your left hip, swing your legs around and come into a straddle. We haven't really done any wide-legged folding today, so let's do that right now. So straddle your legs, open them up, and just walk forward. So you're trying, as always, to get the crown of your head as far away as possible, right? Not your chin to your belly button. And you're doing your best. We're not all going to look the same. Some people I've seen laying their chest flat on the ground, they grab onto their toes and they just lay their chest flat. That's clearly not in my body, but if it's in yours, do it. And if your body is a lot more upright looking, then that's fine too, right? We do what we can do, and our bodies get the same benefit. It's just that when people are more flexible, they need to go further to feel anything. So maybe in fact it's people who are tighter and their postures don't look quite as, yoga journaling. Maybe those people are benefiting the most from yoga, or get the benefit even sooner. I don't know. And then roll up, bring your legs together, and roll down onto your back. Let's do bridge pose. Bend your knees and bring your feet close to your hips. Arms are alongside your body. Push into your feet to lift your hips up. And then if you want, clasp your hands underneath you and walk your shoulder blades toward each other. Push into your feet to really lift your hips. And think about tucking your tailbone, right? So you're trying to create space in your low back, moving your butt toward your knees. And then push into your feet, lift up again. Breathe. hold. You can always come out if you want, but what if you stay? What if you stay in a shape a little bit longer than you want to? What do you find on the other side? And now release. We're going to move into plow pose. So if you need to reposition on your mat, and first hug your knees into your chest and rock left to right a little bit. If that feels good to you. Then put your hands flat on the mat. Arms are straight, and then using some momentum, lift your hips up and bring your feet toward the floor or to the floor if you have it over your head. Have your hands wherever is comfortable and supportive. If you want, move in shoulder stand, bring your hands to the small of your back, lift your legs up toward the ceiling. Resist the urge to move your legs all over the place. So if you practice Ashtanga yoga, there's 4 different versions of shoulder stand. I think it's 4. And some have cross-legged and wide-legged, but we're not going to hold them as long as Ashtanga does. So I invite you to resist the urge to move and just get that benefit of allowing the blood from your feet to rush into your brain. I don't know if that sounds good, does it? Maybe the blood from your heart to rush into your brain, and the blood from your feet to go somewhere beside your feet. And to stop that line of inquiry. And let's release. Come back to plow. Put your hands down. Roll down. When you get all the way to laying on your back, bring your right knee back in. Squeeze your right knee in. Spinal twist. Right knee comes to the left. Look over your right hand. Turn your head to the left. Six sides. Left knee comes across your body. Go back to center when you're ready. You can stay here if you want, and then release. Lay on your back. You're in Shavasana, final resting pose. Let your body be heavy. Let the floor or the earth, wherever you are, support you. And for another few moments, or as long as you can stay, allow yourself to be on your mat, both physically and mentally. Things are starting to open up again, but a lot of us are still working from home, spending a lot more time at home, and so home becomes much more this multi-use space. And so really, even more important that when you come to your mat, you come to your mat. And let it be a space of yoga. And please come to a space of gratitude. If you want to come seated, do so. Otherwise, do it from your back. But I invite you and I encourage you to think of something, someone, anything, a belief, a pet, a situation that you're grateful for. Send it out, marinate in it, recognize it, reinforce that feeling, work that muscle. Thank you guys so much for practicing. Sometimes people send little messages and they didn't get any today, which doesn't make me feel bad, except for the thought that perhaps this didn't record or nobody's here. So I hope some of you guys were here. Thank you for joining me if you did. I'll see you soon. Namaste.